Hey everybody, welcome to a first here on the Cantina Club. This is the first time that I, Corellian Trader, am flying solo. I'm going to do the first in a series of Trader's Top 10, where I've compiled top 10 lists from various aspects of the Star Wars universe, and I'm going to rattle them off here. So come back right after this. Everybody, welcome back to the first edition of what I'm calling Trader's Top 10, where I'm basically going to do a countdown from various aspects of the Star Wars universe, some things that I consider my favorite aspects, least favorite aspects, and just various things like that. You'll get the idea as we go. Everybody does top 10 lists. This is just my version. All right, so for this episode, I'm going to focus on the Clone Wars, which if you've watched any of our episodes, you know is a huge favorite of mine. It's one of my favorite things in all of Star Wars fandom, is the animated series, The Clone Wars, which ran from the late 2000s to just actually about a year ago when they brought it back for a final season. I absolutely love this show. It expanded my love of the universe, which was already astronomical since day one, back when I saw Star Wars in the theater in 1977. But for me, that show is exactly how so I guess what I'll call it supplemental, content should be handled, because it literally bridges the gap between episodes 2 and 3, and it fleshed it out in such a way that it adds more meaning to what happens in episode 3. Because in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, I think they did a great job with that film. I consider that film in my top 5 all-time Star Wars films. But when you add the aspect of the Clone Wars into it, literally 7-8 seasons of content between those two films, you grow more attached to the characters. You see a new depth of meaning to the storylines and things that have happened. To me, it gave me a much better appreciation for what happens in episode 3 and the actual character arcs that we've witnessed throughout the entire thing. Plus, the characters that came about because of the Clone Wars that are now, some are now iconic in the world of Star Wars. And that specifically brings me to my topic of this episode. I'm going to count down the my top 10 favorite Clone Wars characters. Now, let me just describe what I'm talking about that. It's not, I'm not going to count, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan, Yoda, any of these characters, because they exist before Clone Wars happened and all that. Now, what I'm going to basically focus on are characters who were created for the Clone Wars, and or some characters who may have existed a little bit before, but they got fleshed out and their focus was in the Clone Wars. So I'm not, it's not a hard rule, but I don't see the point in putting Obi-Wan and Anakin and Yoda and, characters like that, R2 and 3PO and all that, characters that we've already known, from the previous trilogies and things like that. So my focus is going to be on Clone Wars centric characters. So if you see any glaring omissions, that's probably why. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to jump right into it here, and let's get into, I'm going to do it, in reverse order from 10 to 1, and I'm going to start with number 10, Pong Krell. Now, if you remember, Pong Krell was he was a Jedi character, and his first appearance was at the end of season 4, or excuse me, in the middle of season 4. Basically, his story arc was episodes 7 through 10. The episodes titled Darkness on Umbara, The General, Plan of Descent, and Carnage of Krell. And this is the story where he basically takes charge of Anakin's group, featuring Captain Rex, and he basically rules them with an iron fist. Has nothing but disdain for these clones, sends them into to battle as though they were nothing more than cannon fodder. He refuses to call them by their names, only by their serial numbers. and he's just a generally overall nasty character. And of course, you know, spoiler warning, I should have said that in the beginning, there are going to be spoilers here. If you haven't seen Clone Wars, I'm not going to be hiding anything, but basically he ends up turning out at the end that he's embraced the dark side, so he's actually becoming a dark Jedi, and that's why, or is already a dark Jedi, so that's why he's that way. But I love how they handle this character. He is just absolutely nasty. When you watch his character, you just, for me, I just can't help but just loathe this guy, because he's literally treating characters that we've grown to love through the first 3.5 seasons of the show like they're nothing. And yeah, he's just a nasty character all around. So at number 10, Pong Krell. All right, coming in at number 9, I'm going to have a slight grouping here with a focus on one character. This is going to be Mother Towson and the Night Sisters. Now, I love what they did with that. That is about as close as you're going to come to, with the exception of, say, the novelization of Death Troopers, a horror story within the universe of Star Wars. And I love how these characters are handled. Their first appearance was basically the characters run through seasons 3 and 4. The first appearance was in season 3, episode 12, Night Sisters, and then their final appearance was in season 4, episode 22, Revenge. And the focus mainly for these characters is that, specifically Mother Towson, is that she, you know, lives on Dathomir, which, as you remember, that's Maul's homeworld, and she's basically responsible for the creation of another character we're going to get to later, Savage Oppress, in the attempt to go find Darth Maul. Because they know that he's alive somewhere, they just need to go find him. So she basically works her, you know, black magic on Savage and turns him into a monster, basically. And then they send him out to start basically what starts the whole Maul story arc that carries throughout the rest of the Clone Wars series. So I just love how Mother Towson, her story, I love the characterization of it. The way she's voiced, everything about it. I just think her and the Night Sisters, we even get eventually into almost a zombie, well, it is a zombie episode with in the Clone Wars after they've been wiped out, basically, and they come back from the dead to try and continue to protect their secrets. So at number 9, Mother Towson and the Night Sisters. All right, moving on to number 8. I'm going with a Jedi on this one, one that we had known before the Clone Wars, but that's Plo Koon. And if you know anything about Dave Filoni, you'll know that he is his all-time favorite Jedi, all-time favorite Star Wars character, for all I know. But I love this character too. I got pretty attached to him because Filoni liked him so much, he utilized this character extensively in the Clone Wars. I mean, he basically runs throughout the entire series, starting with episode 3 of season 1, which is called Shadow of Malevolence, which is a Grievous-centered story arc. But you know, I just like how the characterization of Plo Koon and the fact that they can flesh him out from just all we saw before this was just a random unnamed Jedi or whatever sitting on the council, and now we actually get to see a little bit of personality, a little bit of who he is, where he came from, and his importance within the overall story of Star Wars. Probably the most important thing about him that we learn is that he was Ahsoka Tano's original master. He was her master, and he actually brought her into when she was a child. He's the one that brought her into for training to become the Jedi that she ultimately was. So again, I think he's kind of an interesting character. He looks weird, but he looks cool. I like him. I think he's pretty neat. So at number 8, Plo Koon. All right, moving on to number 7. a character I've already mentioned, Savage Oppress, who is technically Darth Maul's brother, not from the bloodline, but his brother from his same race and from his same planet, Dathomir. And he was the one that was utilized by Mother Towson to go find Maul and to bring Maul back from obscurity, basically, and from his, that insanity laced, life he was living on the garbage planet. But his story, I think, is really interesting. Some people might see him as a one-dimensional character. I disagree. I think he's fairly nuanced, especially because we see how he was not originally an automatically aggressive type of personality, but because of Mother Talzin and the Night Sisters, they turned him into a monster, basically, which obviously that was even the name of the first episode he appeared in, which was season 3, episode 13, Monster. And then he last appeared with his death in season 5, episode 14, called Imminence. So anyway, I like the character. I think his interactions not only with Darth Maul but with Count Dooku, the Mother Talzin and the Night Sisters. I just love everything about all that, and the way he fights against Obi-Wan and Ventress and things like that. I think is really cool. Some of my favorite aspects of those storylines. So that was number 7, Savage Oppress. Now coming in at number 6 on my list of favorite Clone Wars characters, I'm going with a clone. This is the first clone appearance in the list. This is going to be Fives. I really love this character. This is also a testament, I think, to the Clone Wars, to how the characterizations of these clones, even though they are just that, clones, so they're identical copies of one another, but the fact that they gave them such nuanced personalities, you can learn one from another. They aren't all just these generic guys. And of course, there's that aspect of them decorating their helmets, putting different insignias on there, even, tattooing themselves in certain ways. You can tell one from another. But Fives stands out for me because he's in one of my absolute favorite all-time Clone Wars episodes. Was his first appearance. That was season 1, episode 5, Rookies, where we learn, where we meet several of the clones that will go on to last throughout the majority of the rest of the series. But yeah, Fives is great. I love the fact that in the Lost missions, they have him basically be the clone who discovers the origins of Order 66 before Order 66 ever actually happened. And ultimately that leads to his demise. But I just always liked that character. He stuck out to me as being unique in a very ununique group of guys. So Fives comes in at number 6. And if you remember, when we did our top 10 all-time Star Wars characters, he actually made that list as well. So I get a lot of grief about that. From a certain Greedo and a certain Gundark, who shall, they're not important enough to appear here with me. But sorry guys. Anyway, so coming in at number 6, we got Fives. All right, so coming in at number 5 on the list of all-time favorite Clone Wars characters for me is Asajj Ventress. She started out, one of the main things that she's a dark Jedi, first and foremost. For those of you who don't know, she's a dark Jedi. She was Count Dooku's apprentice. And so she basically does his bidding in this show. The Night Sisters story arc is phenomenal. The way she interacts with that, because it shows how she was cast out by Dooku and she was disgraced. She goes back to Dathomir, and then the Night Sisters basically help to incorporate her into their group, and it's just really, really a phenomenal story arc. One of the standout episodes for me, for a character who basically runs throughout the entire series run of the Clone Wars, was season confirm my notes here, season 5, episode 19, To Catch a Jedi. This is from the Ahsoka Tano story arc, where she basically is the one who she's undercover, and she ends up meeting up with Ahsoka when Ahsoka is on the lam, basically from the Jedi Council, and is being hunted down by them for perceived misdoings. I also love the episode, season 4, episode 22, Revenge, where she teams up with Obi-Wan, fighting against Darth Maul and Savage Oppress. So I always like that sort of unique blending of when they take, you know, a good character, a light side character and dark side character, and kind of force them into a sometimes uncomfortable partnership, albeit temporarily, because they are working towards the same goal. But overall, I just like how they handled the character of Asajj, and just, you know, I love the fact that she was such a unique character, the way she wielded her lightsabers, the way she just always gave Obi-Wan and Anakin problems in various episodes, and just the nuanced relationship she had with not only Dooku, but with the Night Sisters and Mother Towson. So that was number 5, Asajj Ventress. Okay, coming in at number 4, we've got Captain Rex. And what else do I have to say about Captain Rex? If you know anything about Star Wars, you know the character Captain Rex. Not only did he, you know, appear in the films, but he appeared in the entire series of the Clone Wars. He even came back and appeared in Rebels. And there's rumors out there that we're going to see live action Captain Rex in some of the upcoming series. Most likely, if there is one, an appearance is going to be the Ahsoka series. So be on the lookout for that. I'm really hoping for that. But yeah, I mean, Captain Rex is kind of the epitome of all the clones. He's such a great leader. He, you know, it's hard to even pick out any particular moments that are outstanding, because he's just phenomenal. He was also even in the Bad Batch, the first season they brought back earlier this year. He was in the Bad Batch as well. So, you know, Captain Rex is just one of those characters that kind of epitomizes the Clone Wars. He is just the essential clone, pretty much. So that's why he comes in up there at number 4. All right, so now we're into the top 3. So once we get into the top 3, I mean, honestly, the order at this point, you can pretty much take these in any order you want. It's hard to kind of draw a fine line between these next 3 characters for me, as far as who's my favorite. But these are easily the top 3 for me. So coming in at number 3, Hondo Ohnaka, the space pirate. I just love this guy. The way he talks, his sense of humor, the darkness that underlies his, you know, sometimes, you know, his very humorous, sarcastic personality. I just love how fleshed out this character is. He is phenomenal. His first appearance was all the way back in season 1, episode 11, which was Dooku Captured, which he in fact did capture Count Dooku, eventually even capturing Anakin and Obi-Wan. And I just loved how the antagonistic relationship between, you know, Hondo evolved over all the seasons of the Clone Wars with characters like Anakin and Obi-Wan in particular, and how sometimes he's on their side, sometimes he's not. Kind of like what I mentioned earlier about how opposing sides come together for a common goal and work together. I thought it worked really well with that character. They brought him back, of course, for Rebels. He's, you know, he's even at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and the Millennium Falcon ride, you know, Smuggler's Run, and he, you know, he's becoming an iconic character in the Star Wars lexicon. So Hondo Ohnaka, I'd love to see a live action version of him. I think that would be fantastic. Who knows if we'll actually get that or not, but I would love to see it. All right, coming in at number 2, Ahsoka Tano. Yeah, I know a lot of you would put that number 1. Some of you even have that as number 1 all-time Star Wars character. I get it. But I absolutely love this character. And I have a quick story about this character because I started out hating this character. You know, Ahsoka Tano started out for me as she was in the film. That was her first appearance, was in the movie, The Battle of Christophsis. And she was just this whiny, basically at that moment, she was kind of in that almost like tween age, almost like early teenager age, and just whiny and obnoxious and annoying. And I remember leaving the theater being very disgusted and thinking, wow, is this where Star Wars is now? You know, that we're supposed to look at these whiny characters and like them. Anyway, her story arc has, to me, was the best thing about her. The way we saw her grow and mature, and grow in her talents and her ability to use the Force and to become such a strong Jedi, that now, since Clone Wars, she went on to appear in Rebels. She's now appeared in live action in season 2 of The Mandalorian, and coming up within the next couple of years, she's going to have her very own series called Ahsoka. So the relationship she developed with Anakin is another one of the things that, like I alluded to at the very beginning of this episode, how, you know, it fleshes out and makes the actions that happen in the movies, especially episodes 2 and 3, so much more impactful, I think, when you see these sorts of relationships formed and fleshed out over several seasons of the Clone Wars series. So Ahsoka Tano easily could be number 1. She comes in at number 2 on this because I just have a special place in my heart for my number 1. And my number 1 favorite Clone Wars character is Cad Bane. I just love this guy. He is amazing. He started out all the way back in season 1, episode 22, Hostage Crisis, and then came back again at the beginning of season 2, episode 1, with Holocron Heist. And what can I say about this guy? He's a bounty hunter. He's just nasty, and he is just not to be messed with. He's one of the few bounty hunters you can see that I could probably legitimately take down a Jedi, even though he's not Force sensitive. But he just has that ability to compete with them. He has enough technology at his disposal that he can fight with them and try and level the playing field, at least to a certain extent, to where he can at least hold his own, as you can see what he did with Obi-Wan at one point during the series. But yeah, I just love Cad Bane. I think he's amazing. They've since brought him back in the Bad Batch, which was incredible to see him again. And I really, really, really am holding out for a live action appearance. I would love to see them bring him into that. Not really sure what show they bring him into, but maybe the Ahsoka show, you know, I don't know. But that would be amazing for me. I would love to see that. So my number 1 favorite Clone Wars character is Cad Bane, without a doubt. Just absolutely love that guy. All right. So before we wrap up, I've got a couple more things I want to talk about. One being the honorable mentions, because there's a few others that almost made the cut of the top 10, but just not quite. And in no particular order, these are Pre Vizsla from the Mandalorian episodes, which obviously we had lots of story arcs about Mandalore, but he was the leader of Death Watch. Through him, we learned about the dark saber. He was the first one that we saw possess the dark saber, and I just really like that character. He's just really, really well done. Another one is Admiral Trench, one of the separatist leaders, who just went toe to toe with Anakin a few times in ship to ship combat. He was a really, really cool character. So I enjoyed Admiral Trench as well. Another honorable mention was Zero the Hutt. Just hilarious. Some people might find that character very annoying. I thought the character was hilarious. Just kind of a petty gangster, again, Hutt character related to Jabba, and yeah, just hilarious. I love how the characterization of Zero the Hutt. And then my final honorable mention will be Boca Tan Crees. Another really cool character who's obviously now expanded beyond the Clone Wars. So she was the sister of Satine Kryze, who was basically the leader of all of Mandalore during part of the Clone Wars. But Boca Tan, she has expanded, now beyond Clone Wars into live action in The Mandalorian season 2, and we definitely are expecting to see her in future episodes as well, also on the Ahsoka series, things like that. So definitely looking forward to that. Now, I'm going to quickly run through my 5 least favorite characters I found annoying. I could have just done without them. Again, nothing against, the writers or the actors or the voice vocalization actors, anything about the voice actors. I just think that these just didn't click with me. That's all it was. And partly it's because they were done so well that I found them so, disgusting that I just couldn't stand the character. So for me, my least favorite were, again, in no particular order. I've got 5 of them. Rush Clovis. I could have done without the character. I just thought he was just disgusting. Again, probably, he was well written, well performed. I just thought he was disgusting. Sice Noodles, I thought that was terrible. I thought she was just annoying and obnoxious. And my whole life growing up, I know her from the original Return of the Jedi, and then to see how they characterized her in the Clone Wars, I thought she was just awful. Okay, so now another one, I've got a Jedi, and this is a Jedi I've just never cared for, because to me he goes against everything that the Jedi are supposed to represent, and that's Quinlan Voss. I find the guy obnoxious and and just, I don't know. He just, he's just such a, I don't know, like, I don't even know the right words for it, but he's just, he just does his own thing. He refuses to acknowledge, the authority of the Jedi Council, because he's just, a free spirit, which technically Jedi are not supposed to be. I know we've had a few, but I just didn't like his character at all. Never have liked him in books, comics, whatever it is. Just never cared for the character. Then we've got Luminara Unduli, which I found she just came off as the most arrogant. She's kind of like the opposite in a lot of ways of Quinlan Voss, but almost to the opposite end of the spectrum, to where I also couldn't stand her, because she was just this arrogant, obnoxious, didn't, it's like she would never take anything Anakin said seriously, because she looked at him as this, petty man boy or something like that. I don't know. That always bothered me, and I don't know. I always thought that she was just so obnoxious. I just kind of cringe when she comes on screen. And then I've got Nadar Veb, another Jedi who was only, thank goodness, in one episode, and his arrogance as a Jedi and his immaturity as a Jedi led to his own end in the episode Lair of Grievous, which is also one of my absolute favorite episodes of Clone Wars. But Nadar Veb, another just arrogant, immature, Jedi who had just recently been knighted, and he just thought he could do no wrong. He thought he was invincible, and he found out otherwise. So okay, so that is basically it for this first ever Traders Top 10. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm planning on doing a few more of these, just something to kind of expand our content on the Cantina Club, and I hope you liked it. If you did, click like, leave me some comments. Let me know if you have some, if there are some characters I skipped that you like or didn't like. Let me know. I'd love to have a conversation about it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.